next guest is a remarkable man, and I've known him for many, many years. A long time ago, he lost 12 of his friends, if you can imagine that, 12, in the Bali bombings, and he realised that life is incredibly short, and he set out to inspire others to help others, as well as helping them himself. So he quit his job, he lived off his savings, and he came up with this pretty incredible idea to help some of the nation's most disadvantaged children really make a difference, this sort of stuff. My next guest, of course, is the Australian Indigenous Education Foundation's Andrew Penfold. Now, some people will know your story, Andrew. They'll know the story of the foundation established back in 2008. But let's remind those who perhaps aren't familiar what the extraordinary work of the foundation is and what you've been able to achieve in what, in real terms, is such a small period of time, but the results are pretty phenomenal.
Thanks very much, Peter. It's great to be here with you again. And we started 12 years ago to provide scholarships for Indigenous kids around Australia to have the opportunity to go to really fantastic, high-quality boarding schools and universities with financial support through scholarship funding from our organisation. And then secondly, we support those students as they transition out of their studies and go into employment or further study at university to make a successful transition into a meaningful life and a meaningful and rewarding career. It's been an amazing 12-year journey, and we've now been able to support over 1,000 kids in that time. And really, it's just the remarkable stories of success that they're achieving every day when we hear about what they're doing, where they're going, what they're doing with their lives, and how they're becoming role models and leaders in their communities, their families, and just doing incredible things with their lives, really making an amazing impact. So, the numbers and statistics are great. We have very high success rates in terms of retention and Year 12 completion for kids at school, well over 90% every year. Since we started, and similarly with the kids who are then going off into their careers, again, we track and monitor all of their career progress and success, and we have over 90% productively engaged in their careers as well. So great statistics that we're really proud of, but it's the individual personal stories of their success and achievement, and of course overcoming incredible obstacles and barriers, and just showing their grit and determination and going out and taking their place in the world. It's absolutely inspiring.
And of course, when these kids come to these boarding schools, their classmates and their boarding mates will have an experience, a lived experience of an Indigenous friend or an Indigenous sports teammate. They'll have a connection that a lot of middle-class, Anglo-Australian kids or middle-class migrant Australian kids don't have. They'll have that personal relationship, and that will change their lives. And then that child from the Indigenous community will have a peer group that will stay with them, a university peer group or a peer group in business for the rest of their life. So they'll feel a sense of belonging to the Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, wherever the community is, as well as obviously to their home country. When they go back to their country, go back on the land of their community, what's it like for other kids? Does it help inspire the other kids in some of these remote communities to get to school and realise that there is opportunity beyond their small part of the world?
Absolutely, it does in almost every case we see, Peter. These are the sort of stories. We did published a detailed evaluation report from KPMG earlier this year, which found that it was one of the most rigorous and detailed evaluations I've seen of any program in the Indigenous sector since I've been involved in this area for around 20 years. And one of the things that it commented upon was the ripple effect that these kids have amongst their families, amongst their communities, and across the nation in terms of being role models. We've seen many kids come into our program who are the first in their family to ever finish Year 12, the first in their family ever to go to university, and they take their place in the world and they come back and visit their communities and see their family, and they're just absolutely incredible role models who are inspiring that next generation. And it's not to say that every one of those students wants to follow the same career path as they followed, or to go to boarding school, or to go through the same system, but they just see the value of education. And as you know, too many Indigenous kids haven't really seen the value proposition of education for such a long time in a lot of these communities, and now they're seeing kids coming back doing fantastic things with their life, having happy lives, being married, having children, buying houses, and just kind of really leading productive and enriching and rewarding lives. And that's something that those young kids really grab onto and really see and look up to those role models in their family. I mean, one of the awesome examples of that today was the young man who just finished school this year and one of our scholarships in Melbourne, who has been all over the headlines today for being the first pick in the AFL draft today. And he's the first boy in his family, Jamara, first boy in his family ever to finish year 12. And, his younger brothers are looking up to him now and seeing inspiration in him as well. And, likewise, we have young women who have become lawyers and school teachers and social workers and right across the spectrum. We had one girl today who's just graduated with an engineering degree, being offered a role on the BHP graduate program for engineers. Just amazing achievements, and the ripple effect that they have in their community is just absolutely mind-blowing.
And this documentary that'll air tonight, I mean, this is an Indigenous story of education, but I mean, it's a story replicated in remote areas across the country for non-Indigenous kids too, because I grew up in a tiny little country town. I never thought about going to university until someone who had left my little school, gone into the military and had gone obviously on to university, came back and spoke to us. And I thought, well, what's university? And if he can get there from this little town, then I can get there from this little town. And it's looking at someone, I mean, you can't be what you can't see, right? So someone or someone from your patch of dirt gets somewhere and you think you can. So I think that's the powerful message that goes beyond whether you're Indigenous or not. We've got a bit of a grab I want to play now of the documentary Changing Our Nation, which will be on Sky tonight just after this show at 7 p.m. Let's have a listen.
Good to have you home, Joe.
As much as it felt like I was abandoning everything that I knew, it's not about that. It's about taking the tools that you've developed and then implementing that into a new environment.
In 129 years, there's never been an Indigenous boy from Winton as college captain.
Something really remarkable, really. We believed in him.
Andrew, where can people go when they're watching this show and afterwards to find out more about the foundation?
Well, all the information about our programs is on our website at www.aief.com.au, and we'd really be grateful for any support and anyone who wants to be involved and help us in this effort. It's a nation-changing accomplishment and an effort, and anyone who wants to join us in that endeavour, we'd absolutely welcome.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Well done on everything, as always. But thank you for this. I think this is a terrific sort of good news story as we go into Christmas in a pretty tough year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Much appreciated.
Right, there you go. Don't miss Changing Our Nation. As I said, I think it's one of the most amazing programs from a pretty remarkable bloke. Tonight, 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock here